All right, everybody, welcome back to Podcast in the Sky with Diamonds. Today, we had the wonderful opportunity of interviewing Justin Osborne, who is the lead singer of one of my favorite bands, Susto.
Susto, not Susto, which we discussed in the interview.
Yes, we called it Susto in the last episode, but it's actually pronounced Susto.
Oops. Sorry, Justin.
Oops. Just so that we all know, there's actually a meaning behind that name. It is like a cultural word that basically means panic attack or spiritual anxiety attack. We talked about his new album, Ever Since I Lost My Mind. That's coming out February 22nd. This episode will probably air a little after that. So you guys can get a little taste of what that's all about. Talked about his time in Havana, Cuba.
We did. We talked about what it was like living down there for him, how that inspired him to continue music, but I don't want to spoil anything else. You gotta listen to the whole episode to figure out the rest of that good stuff.
Yes. It was fantastic. Just to give you like a little taste of what his music sounds like, a more comprehensive soliloquy from Meg. The Susto aesthetic is what I'm calling it. It's a band.
Hashtag aesthetic.
Hashtag
Aesthetic.
Okay. It's a band for the misfits looking for a home. Susto is soulful, reflective, raw storytelling full of hope, love, and reassurance. Layered nostalgic Americana that is both challenging and engaging. It's the type of music that makes a nest in your ears and lulls you into a sense of chaotic peace that you didn't know you needed.
And it sounds really good.
And it sounds really good.
Sounds good when the music hits your ear holes.
Susto reminds you to embrace your impurities and imperfections, that life may not be easy, but it's worth it. It makes you question yourself, your reality, who you want to be, what you want to do, where you want to go, who and what you love, and reminds you that you're going to be okay. It's the perfect music to listen to when it's dark and humid and you can hear the tree frogs and a train rattling down the rails about a mile away, and your beer's getting a little warm, but it's okay because it's still your favorite, and you may not have had a good day, but tomorrow you get to try again, and at least you can see the stars. So, if you ever have a day like that, kids, put on And I'm Fine Today, or Ever Since I Lost My Mind, and everything will be a little better.
You're in for a treat. It's a really cool interview. Justin is a really awesome guy. So, we're recording this post, but, it was really awesome to sit down and talk with him and vibe with him and, get to know him a little more. So, it's really cool. Tune in, listen in, enjoy it.
He is going to be in Allston, Massachusetts at Great Scott on April 17th. Everybody here at Podcast in the Sky will be there.
Hopefully.
And make sure to give him a follow on all your socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Susto is Real. And make sure to follow them at Susto on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you get your streaming. You're definitely going to want to check them out. They're going to rock your world. So.
Absolutely. So, listen to the interview, give him a listen, or give him a listen if you're pausing right now. Welcome back. Now that you've given him a listen.
That was some top tier shit. That was good.
Yeah, no editing needed there. Did it all for you, Meg. Welcome back. Now that you've maybe listened to his stuff.
How about that, huh? Did it for you. Did it for me.
Ayo. So now that it has all been did for and the music has been heard, maybe, enjoy the interview, maybe get some insight behind some of these songs or learn about some of these songs, and that'll give you some inspiration for some cool stuff to go listen to.
Yes, definitely. So, without further ado, enjoy the show.
Hello?
Hey, Justin, how are you?
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. All of us are just chilling here in the studio. I'm Meg, by the way, if you couldn't guess.
Okay, yeah, nice to meet you over the phone, Meg.
Nice to meet you too.
Hey, Justin, I'm Mike.
Hey, Mike, how's it going? I'm Justin.
It's
nice
going
to
good.
meet
Thanks
you.
for joining us, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat with y'all. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. My name's Andrew. I'm the third co-host, so just so you can get all our names to a voice.
And I'm the fourth.
All right.
My name's Chris.
So we got Andrew, Mike, and Meg, right?
And Chris, too. Chris is our new co-host. He joined on for season 2.
Okay, Chris, too. Okay, so there's 4 of you guys then, okay?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Well, there's one of me, so that's all I got.
All right, perfect. You can hear us okay on your end, right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay,
Perfect.
We did a few run-throughs, but Just making sure. Okay, awesome. So we're just going to get started. I have a few questions written up about your new project, Ever Since I Lost My Mind, to start with first. And then we'll go into some more kind of like funny, let's get to know Justin questions that we hope you don't normally get asked, because that's kind of what we're all about here. So.
Okay, cool.
All right, perfect. So let's just jump right in. So what do you think so far is your new favorite off the record?
My least favorite?
Yeah, no, not your least favorite, your actual favorite. Because I'm assuming you don't dislike any of your songs, considering that you're putting them out. So yeah.
No, yeah, no, I was gonna say, I was like, man, I thought you said least, and I was like, wow, that's a crazy first question.
No. What is your favorite?
Well, that's kind of also really hard because like I don't know, this record is something I've taken a lot of care to make, and it's like I like all of them kind of like in different ways, because all the songs are kind of like these little like vignettes of like emotions and things that have been happening to me over the last few years. And so like they're all kind of very real and kind of take me back to a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But so I don't know which one I like the best. I don't know, because some of the sad ones, it's like I like them a lot, but I'm like, I remember that feeling,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe like,
I know it's a hard question.
It's hard. Maybe I'm just gonna say Está Bien, because it's like it's got the most positive message, and so I really like that one.
It does.
I'm really happy with all of them. I hope everybody else likes them too. But I've just like, I don't know. It's been a really fun album to make, and I got to choose the songs that I really wanted to put on. So I don't know, I like them all.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I think I've been listening to you for a little over a year now. Your song Friends, Lovers, Ex-Lovers, whatever came on my Discover Weekly on Spotify.
Cool.
And I completely loved it. So of course I did a deep dive into your first album. And then from there it kind of just like opened this whole new door of this genre that I didn't even know that kind of existed, because your sound is so different from everything else that I've heard so far.
That's cool. Thank you, Spotify.
Yeah, thank you, Spotify.
Major shout out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been really cool.
And I think, jumping off of that, Justin, I think Spotify is must be a huge platform for an artist to just get their music out there, especially in the way that Spotify does now. You can become a mega musician pretty much overnight if you get added to one of Spotify's most followed playlists. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's great. Like some people will like complain about Spotify, but I think like it changes the way like people monetize music, but like it just, for me, it's like revolutionized my ability to be able to like go look for music and find like anything that someone tells me about, and people find my music like all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
so we just heard a story about that. I wouldn't even be talking to you guys maybe,
Yeah,
if it wasn't for that.
Exactly.
And it's like you said too, like you can, it's kind of crazy though, like the power that it has. Like if you get on some of the really big playlists, it's like, and you get a high number, like all of a sudden your Spotify monthly listeners or whatever are going to just skyrocket. But it's cool. It's a cool platform. I'm like not only like a customer, like, our music is available on Spotify, and which I really like it from that side, because they give you all these like, insights and stuff. You can kind of see how your songs are doing and like where your fans are and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But also just as a user, because like I'm a huge music fan, and so like sometimes I'll just like get really stoned and just spend hours just like listening to bands on Spotify.
That is exactly what happened to me.
I
when
think
I
you make a great
dive.
point as like as a consumer of it. It just it completely, when I switched over from it was even before Apple Music. I was in the first wave of Spotify. It completely revolutionized everything. I don't think I could ever listen to as much music or know as many artists without it.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I think that's through Spotify, learning about all these artists that you find out about that are maybe not on the radio, but are just equally as good, if not better. Spotify gives those people a platform. So I see both sides of the coin. I get the argument that it's not great for the artist, but it also is, because it's connecting you to directly to the consumer in a way I don't think anything else can.
Yeah, I'm definitely for it.
Yeah.
I'm just like any way that like music's harder to make money in now, but it's like it's still really fun to do, and the ultimate goal is just to reach as many people and connect with as many people through the music as possible. So it's like a tool like Spotify is just like, I don't know, it's invaluable. I think I love it.
Definitely. So then I kind of have a question, like on twofolds, like on like your like artist back end on Spotify. Have there been any like crazy like listeners from like other parts of like the world or that you might not have like totally expected about being a pretty big artist? I'm sure there are people from like other countries, other continents that listen to you. Ever have a moment when you were like looking at those logistics and like, oh wow, like we have a pretty big fan base in like this country that I didn't even think about before?
Yeah, and that kind of like is like that. I've seen that happen. Like it started happening in Europe before we went to Europe, and it kind of like coaxed me to go trying to start touring Europe. And then I've also seen that in Latin America and Australia, and so like it's like and other places too. But in those places, like specifically, and it kind of like it blows your mind, but it also kind of like makes you realize, okay, well, we need to go there and like build on that, It's cool. Like we have like added to a playlist in Colombia, like new music Colombia or something like that.
That's
and all
sweet.
of a sudden we started getting a ton of listeners like in Colombia. It was like it was weird, but it's cool. That's why Spotify is great, because it's like a global platform, and so there's all these different. I mean, not everybody in the world uses Spotify, but a lot of people do, and so it's great.
Yeah, definitely a good portion of them do. And speaking of, being in Europe and Australia and everything else, I noticed you are doing a tour out there as well. That you're starting the 28th?
You mean the European tour or or
Yeah.
just tour in general?
Yeah, I mean, I guess both, because I noticed I'm seeing you the 17th in Allston, and I noticed you have dates farther back that goes to like the UK and Sweden and everything else.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's exciting.
So we kind of kick our tour off actually on this Friday, like Thursday. The record comes out on Friday, and we are doing like a show in our hometown on Thursday.
Oh,
so then we're
cool.
doing like we're touring in the U.S. between like now and 420. We have our last show in the U.S. 420 in D.C.
That's
There you
awesome.
go.
Which every year, like for 420, we do like a burn down show. That's what we call it. We have a city, and so this year we're going to burn down in our nation's capital.
That's
Very
It's gonna be
awesome.
good.
great, but
Great year
then
for it.
yeah, it is, right? And the great thing is, like, it's legal in DC, so it's like the first place we've ever actually done it, because we did the first one in Birmingham, just to kind of protest Jeff Sessions, and then we did the last one in North Carolina,
Wow.
and then and so this one's going to be in DC, so it's great. But anyway, 2 days after that, we fly over there and we start the European tour. I think this one's kind of short. It's only like 3 weeks in Europe, but we're going to go back at the end of the summer too. Like I'm having my wife and I are having our first child in early June.
Congratulations.
So I'm kind of like,
That's awesome.
thank you. Yeah, we're excited about it. And so I'm taking a bit of a break, kind of like from the tour, like then, so I can be home for that. And then we'll go back out kind of at the end of the summer and go back to Europe again. And we're going to do a little bit more touring in the U.S. too. But
Very cool.
That's
Very cool.
fucking awesome, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats on becoming a dad.
Yeah, that's awesome.
thanks so much.
Of course.
2019 is the year of Justin.
It is.
Like.
Oh man. Well, it's actually the year of Harriet. That's her name. It's going to be Harriet.
I love
she's
that name.
on her way.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we certainly
Um,
can't wait for you. So
yeah.
it gets back to talk a little bit about your new album. With songs like Homeboy, Está Bien, and Last Century, how do you think your new album is shaping up to be different than the other ones? I mean, I know you've said that it's a little more emotional. Like it has definitely it hits closer to home than before. So where were you in your life when you started working on it?
I mean, so this record, all the songs were all being written when I was like full-fledged, like in a band, because like I wasn't like the first album we had, like I wasn't really in a band. I was just hanging out. I was writing songs. And the second record, we were trying to get things going, but by the time I started writing for this album, like touring was like my reality. And, so a lot of it kind of comes from that, but I think, it's kind of like I always just kind of write about stuff that's going on in my life and try and kind of process those things through songwriting. It's kind of my like personal form of therapy or something, I guess. But like I think so I think that's the same like on this record. It's because I've been doing that on the other ones too, as far as like lyrically, like what the narrative was. It's like things that were like big things going on in my life. And I think in this one, a lot of that is just like dealing with the changes of like being gone all the time, being all these different places. Like, I don't know, just like dealing with like coming into this as like being my life, like being in a band. And I think like that's different because like I just wasn't really quite, wasn't in the same place in my life on the next record, on the last records. I mean, the next record will be different in the way that, I'll be a dad, and like, I don't know, it's just like the records are very autobiographical for me. They're kind of like little, I don't know, like a collection of vignettes to kind of like remember a couple of years,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so I think they kind of change with my life. But then like sonically and like genre wise, I think it's like pretty in the vein of Susto, but it kind of like leans a little bit more just like being like a rock record. Like even there's chill songs, and even the chill songs are kind of like in the rock and roll vein. It's just I don't know, it felt like there was a pretty clear vision about what I wanted. Like I really wanted to kind of like use some of my favorite tricks from like songs I loved in the 90s, and also just like keep it like as fresh feeling as possible, while just like maintaining this like autobiographical narrative. And it was really fun to do that. It was like, I don't know, this I've had the most fun making this record because like I kind of like have learned how to do it a bit better, and like learned about myself and what works in the studio and what doesn't. And also it was like, this is the first record that we've done with a record label, so like, they were there to kind of help financially and help connect me with the right people to do something that helped me realize my dream better, and so yeah, it's similar and different. And I think it's just in the same way that every record is kind of similar and different, like inside of a band's discography.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely noticed it seemed a little more experimental than your last two records. And it's funny that you call it 90s because I pegged Homeboy as being like this Latin meets Nirvana-esque kind of vibe to it. So it's good to know that's kind of where you were headed with that too. Yeah, immediately when you released it, that was the first thing I thought was like, holy shit, Kurt Cobain would have probably loved this.
Hell yeah! Well, I'm glad that you felt that way about it. I definitely like. Yeah, I wanted there to be like a wall of guitars to kind of just slam you in the face a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when Meg turned us on to your music, I was listening to some of the chill songs, and then Homeboy came out of nowhere, and
Yeah,
I was like,
dude.
holy fuck, where has this been all my life?
Exactly.
It was just like, it just hit me.
Yeah.
I immediately, I put it on my Instagram story, my Snapchat story. I sent a Snapchat to I sent a text to the group, and I said, this song fucking rules.
Yeah.
Like in our group
Hell
chat
yeah,
of us. Oh my God, I love
Oh
that
man,
song.
I'm so glad you guys are digging it. That's the best, man. That's awesome.
I added it to like 3 of my playlists. I was skiing yesterday, and it came on, and I was like, holy shit, we got the interview with him tomorrow. I was like, this is so cool. It's such a good song too. Like, oh my God.
Thank you.
It's an
love
incredible
that
Wait,
song.
you were skiing yesterday?
Yes. Yes. I was
Dude,
I was skiing yesterday, yeah.
are you guys? So you guys are in Massachusetts, or where are
Yes.
you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're based in
Okay, cool.
Central Mass. Yep.
Okay,
but
cool.
I was up
Yeah,
in
well,
Vermont yesterday. So I was up in Vermont.
Okay,
It was,
cool.
it's
My
only,
wife's family's from Burlington.
Oh, no way. Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Vermont, man.
Yeah, it was about an
Cool.
hour and a half.
We don't ski.
Yeah.
We don't really ski down here, so in South Carolina. But
Right.
I would imagine
sounds
not.
like
That's
so
okay.
much fun.
Yeah.
I just like imagine for the first time. I just imagined someone skiing and listening to Homeboy, and I was like, oh shit, that's kind of like a rad vision.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I've only
skied a couple times. But.
Yeah, I put together a playlist, and that was one of the first songs I put on there. And then it
yeah.
ironically came on as I was going down the mountain yesterday because I have a sound system in my helmet, and it was just like so fucking cool. It's
Yeah.
like it was
Dude,
the perfect
you know
song for it.
how badass that makes me feel that like you sing the song and somebody was just fucking getting it down a mountain and Homeboy just piping in the fucking
Yeah.
It's a
helmet.
perfect fucking song for
I can't
that.
wait to tell the rest of the band. I can't wait to tell the rest of the band about that.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it was awesome, man. It was pretty surreal, and I think as a musician, it must, I've always thought about that because I'm not a musician. I'm just a consumer of it, and
Yeah, we all are.
yeah, I've always thought as a musician, it must be fucking crazy to hear someone tell you, where a product of your labor of love has come into play in their lives in different parts. Like
It is. It's really cool.
I'm very lucky that I'm in a position where I've been able to tell some of my favorite artists, where I was when I first heard this song. Like I'm telling you now, I was listening to Homeboy on a mountain. Like I've told other artists that I listen to, like different moments in my life where their music has really played an integral part, and it must be one of the greatest feelings as an artist to
I'm
hear.
so glad that you share that with people because it really is. It's really you can't really imagine how people are or where people are going to be when they're hearing the songs. Like you're just making it, and so that's really cool. I'm glad that you tell people when you get the chance, like because it's really interesting and fun to hear.
Yeah, and I think getting back to what you were saying a little bit earlier, with your music being little vignettes of a couple years of your life, like there's definitely some albums that I look back on my life that were really integral parts of my life all throughout college. Kings of Leon's Come Around Sundown was a huge album in my life for those 4 years of college, and I look back, and every time I hear a song off that album, it just brings me right back to that, and I think that's the really cool part about music. And you did something with Homeboy, man.
Yeah, you did.
Dude, thank you, man. I know what you mean too. I'm the same way. I have like records that just like they hit me at the right moment in my life, and they're like are the soundtrack to that time.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. And to kind of build off of that, I found your second album, and I'm Fine Today, as I was starting to move out on my own. I got my first apartment this past year with my roommate, started a new job, basically left my entire life behind that I'd known before. And I'm Fine Today was such like a happy place for me to go to at the end of the day. I wrote a few poems to it, actually, because I write poetry too. So
man, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was really nice to kind of have a place to go to at the end of the night where I could just like lay down on my floor with all the lights off and get baked as can be and just bump Far Out Feeling, dude. I love Far Out Feeling so much. That song.
Oh man, I love that song too. I'm so glad you like it.
It gave me, I was listening to it actually while I was doing research for this. I was a little high, and I immediately got a call back to Give Me Shelter, the Stones song. That's what that song reminds me of. I don't know if like you're a big Stones fan or anything, but like I immediately was like, holy fuck, like this is insane.
Wait, so you got a Stones vibe from that song, huh?
Yeah, huge Give Me Shelter vibes.
So cool.
And then I was listening to it.
I never thought of it like that way. I'm a really big Rolling Stones fan.
Fuck
it's
yeah,
like,
dude.
if you actually today we were in rehearsal and the like classic like Stones or Beatles thing came up and like everybody of course was like, oh well, I mean the Beatles, and I was like the one I was like, I love the Beatles, I get it, but I was like, fucking A, the Rolling Stones are a great band, like
the Rolling Stones are so good. Yeah, so I got hard Stones vibes from that song when I was listening to it again the other day. So that was really cool. So I wanted to ask you about it. Yeah.
That one was very definitive of that album. I feel like that. When I think about that album, I think about like that song.
Yeah.
And Hard Drugs and Jawworks, I think.
Oh my God. Speaking of Jawworks, before I get into anything else to do with your new album, how did you get Jawworks from Spaghetti Monster? How did that happen?
That's not true. That thing, like so we were making that stories series, right?
Yeah.
And everybody thought that my explanations for the songs were like too serious, and like they were like, oh, what is this stupid thing we're doing? Because it started out as a web series. I didn't even know it was going to be on Spotify. And
oh, nice.
And so I was like, all right, well, fine. If you guys want to do the intro to the song, like you guys do the intro to the song. And they made that up, and I hated it because like people. It's fine. I get it. It's kind of a funny story at this point because it's like I knew this was going to happen. I was like, people are going to think that's like what the song is about, and it's not about that at all. It's like it's not about that. But so I I was like, why is she sounding so perplexed right now? Then you got your question out. I was like, oh, spaghetti monster thing.
Yeah, because I was listening to it in my Uber to work like last week, and I was like, what? What? Spaghetti monsters?
Yeah, that song is really like about just a community, and I went through, like, I grew up in the South, and so I grew up like very religious, and in like I kind of left that in my early 20s, but in like my mid 20s, I was kind of getting past my like militant atheism, and I was like, I don't really believe in anything, but it's just so nice to have like a word or something to just call that like human spirit, and and the word Jah does not mean that. The word Jah is like, a Rasta term for God, but it was like, who says it's not God? Who says the human connection isn't God anyway? So I was just like, it was a term I was much more comfortable using because I was just like always been a really big fan of reggae music, and like and there was this reggae hour that would come on the radio, like in Charleston here, like every Saturday night we would listen to it, and there were all these songs about Jah works this, and so we were sitting around one night, super baked, me and my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, and my neighbor who lived below me, and we were just like, we just gotten done listening to reggae hour and dancing and stuff, and then like we were sitting down, and I was like, hey, I'm just gonna play some chords, and we'll just sing the first thing that comes to our head, and then we'll make a song out of it. And so I said Jah works, and then my wife said, and I'm fine today, and my friend said at the same damn time.
Nice.
And so we just went, Jah works, and I'm fine today at the same time. And we're just singing that together, like in a round or whatever. Because we always said, like, and I'm fine today, like, because there's a YouTube video of this American Gladiator guy who like gets hit in the face, and he's like, I'm fine today. So like around this house we lived in, we were always like, it's not a viral video. Like, it's just like, it doesn't even have that many views, but like we all had seen it and thought it was hilarious. And like, I was living in this house with like 10 other people, and everybody's like mid-20s, kind of like just figuring their stuff out. But anytime something shitty happened, we'd be like, it's fine today, like, or like, if you ask somebody how they're doing, they're like, oh, I'm fine today. And it was like this, like, I don't know, evolution of us quoting this YouTube video. And so it got into that song, and then the lyrics are kind of just about like working through tragedy and being there for each. The lyrics kind of reflect like what we all were for each other. We were all kind of estranged from our families a little bit, and kind of just, we were each other's family, and like we got each other through shit, And we were also at the same time kind of taking psychedelics and stuff, and like peeling back some layers and learning things about reality, I just started like really kind of coming to terms with the cyclical nature of life and death, and like and the second verse is kind of about that, like lifetimes in a carbon place, and just like how many lives have been lived, and I don't know. It's not about a spaghetti monster in the sky. But I just never really got my chance to explain it.
Well, now you have your chance, and I gotta tell you, that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. Oh my god!
How does it feel to finally have it out there?
It feels really good to get it out there. So thank you guys for giving me the opportunity.
No problem.
It's what we're here for.
Because I love that song so much. It's like one of my favorite songs that we play, and one of my favorite songs I've ever been able to play live for people and stuff. It's like, because I love the message of it, and because like what I learned from having friendships like that, and like, kind of coming of age around people who were doing the same thing and figuring their lives out together. Like, I just learned a lot about love and friendship and humanity, and like I began to appreciate things more, I think. And so that song is a reminder of that. Every time I sing that song, like I think about that, and what I learned from all the people around me, and how beautiful they all are. I don't know.
That's really beautiful. And I think everybody, has experienced that moment in their life too. So it's nice to have a musician be able to put it into words for us. And I know it's a song that I got my friend Allie into your music as well. And that's one of her favorite songs too. And we like to sing it together when we're driving in the car, or, it's 2 a.m. and we're drunk in my kitchen eating cold lasagna, or like whatever the instance is. that we're together. That's a good anthem for our friendship. So it's really cool that that's
I love that so much because it's like that the song is made up of little idioms that were our anthems for our friendship. So it's like it's so amazing to hear you say that. Like it's just like, I just feel so connected to people through it. It's like,
yeah, and coming from our end, like we feel so connected to you too. It's like it's really an amazing thing to be sharing that with somebody whose music has defined a big part of your life. Speaking of Weather Balloons, one of the singles off your new album is hands down, I think, one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard.
Oh wow, thank you so much.
That harmonica that you put in there, I listened to it. One of the first times I listened to it, I was driving with my boyfriend to visit his mom, and it was raining, and we were stopped at a red light, and that harmonica part hit, and like the hairs on my arm went up, and I was just like, holy shit, he's doing it again. All I can say is that Lennon and Dylan would have absolutely been so proud of you. Can you tell me a little bit about that song?
Yeah, that thank you so much, by the way. Like I don't play the harmonica on that part. Our drummer plays that, but I wanted him to do it. I was like, dude, you gotta throw the harmonica right here, and I was like, make it long and sentimental and just drive it home. And he did it, and I love that part so much too. And I'm so glad. I mean, you just talked about the hair rising up on your. That's how I feel when we're playing it.
Yeah,
you know? and he all of a sudden he comes out with it like it, and so I'm so glad you feel that way too. But that the song I wrote, like, you know, like I was saying, I live in South Carolina. It like doesn't ever snow here, but like two years ago, my wife and I, or not 2 years ago, but like not this past New Year's, but the New Year's before that, my wife and I, she wasn't my wife yet then either, but we went down to Baja, Mexico, to like I was playing solo at this New Year's party, and so we've just been in Mexico, and we come back and we get to Charleston, and a blizzard is supposed to hit, which never happens. Like every 30 years this happens. So like it was supposed to hit like the next day, and so we get home, we're like, okay, blizzard, that'd be cool. But then we get home and like our plumbing, our pipes were like fucked up, and then like our heat was broken, and our cat had some sort of like infection because the people that we had like feeding her like weren't doing her litter properly or whatever. Yeah, it was sad, right? So we get home and all this stuff is happening, and there's like a blizzard coming, so like it's like a Sunday or something, so like no one is open, like no one's coming to fix our stuff. Like we're just like, fuck. So we kind of like sequestered ourselves in our house, and we were able to find some space heaters, and we were able to find some medicine for the cat. So everybody was kind of fine, but then our house was still kind of fucked. So it snowed, and the next day we went, and it was still snowing. It snowed like for like a whole day, and we went to this little local pizza place. We met up with a bunch of our friends, and we decided, well, nobody had to work or anything, so we all decided to eat LSD, and so we like 7 of us went back to my house, and I had some that a friend of mine had given me, and we each took, you know, like a hit and a half or so, and which is a lot, because I like, even in the days when I would like to trip, I never like to take too much because I'm afraid of like just going too crazy, and now as like a quote unquote adult, I like to microdose and stuff, but I don't really trip that often. But this is like we were like, well, okay, it's a beautiful, our town is a snow globe right now, which never happens, and so we did it, and so we had this beautiful trip. But then at the end of it, the next day, like I'm at my house, and we're still just like, okay, well, that was beautiful, but then we all were hanging out at our house, and our house wasn't really functioning like a house because there was no heat or anything, so everybody kind of treated it like a tree house. It was just like dirty, and it was cold, and I had that clarity that you have after like a psychedelic experience, like the day after, you know, and I sat down and wrote the song because I was just like, I really wished I had the money to take us to like a hotel or something, just get us somewhere that was warm and clean and safe, you know, and I couldn't. All I could do was write a song about it, and so that's where Weather Balloons came from.
Wow.
And yeah, it almost didn't make it on the album. We had recorded 11 songs, and we're like, that's the album. And then my manager was like, but wait, what about that Weather Balloon song? I really love that song. And I was like, yeah, well, we're feeling it. And then he was like, well, I think you guys should go try and record it. So we just recorded. That's the only one that we were actually recorded here in Charleston at like our local studio.
Wow.
And I don't know, turned out to be one of my favorites on the album. So I'm glad you connect with it too.
Yeah, I mean, so far I've pretty much connected to every single song that you've put out off the new album. And I've been listening to And I'm Fine Today like crazy the past few days.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not like ruining the songs too by explaining them too
No.
much.
No.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, are you kidding me? This is what I live for. This was the whole reason I started the podcast was so that I could talk
Cool.
to you guys about your music.
I love the name of the podcast, by the way. I should have mentioned that when we were talking about when we were talking about the Beatles versus the Rolling Stones thing, but because the podcast is a direct nod to the Beatles. So
Oh
It
yeah,
is.
that was
Yeah.
all Meg, because we had no idea what to name the show. Because
I love it. It's a great name. The name of the podcast caught my eye like on Twitter and stuff before you guys even reached out. I had seen you
Oh my gosh.
maybe mention. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's a cool podcast name.
Yeah, I know. I've been mentioning you guys pretty much since day one that we've been recording. I'm like, you guys got to listen to Susto, but then I was mispronouncing it wrong because I am an idiot. But it's fine. Google
No.
Google lied to me.
Susto?
Yeah, I used to say Susto, but now I say Susto, which is the correct.
I was up
pronunciation.
until about 10 minutes before you called, so I had to be corrected.
I was like, I
So,
hope he doesn't hate us now. Like, I still want him to come on.
You guys are not alone. It's fine. It's not. It never makes me upset because it's like, it's not a word that's pronounced really. Like if you pronounce it in English, it's Susto.
Okay.
Like my name is Justin. Like
Mhm.
I get it, but
Yeah.
but it's just not an English word. So I say Susto, but it never bothers me when people say Susto. It's like you know how to spell it, obviously. So
Yeah,
that's,
obviously.
in this day and age, the digital age, I mean that's what matters, right?
So how did I know you spent some time in Cuba. You went away on like a self-imposed hiatus, which is what I got from the Rounder article that I read for you guys. So you were what, in your mid-20s when you went out there? That's just an estimation based on all the years dated on your Bandcamp and Spotify and whatnot.
That's a good estimation. Yeah, I was. That's right. I think when I got there, I had just turned 26.
Okay, awesome. So what kind of made you want to go to Cuba especially?
Well, I was really just pursuing academics. Like I had been in a band in high school that had like a MySpace hit, and so I really tried. I tried to make it like in college, and then dropped out after a couple of years, and really tried to book tours and tried to get somewhere. But it kind of like regionally we did, like we had fans, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I kind of got burnt out, and so I was like, well, I don't know what else I'm doing in my life, so I'm just going to go back to school. So I went back to school as like a 24-year-old, and completely changed what I was studying. I started studying anthropology, but I was focused in Latin American and Caribbean studies because I had been reading a lot about like Latin American politics, like when I've been touring my old band. So I was kind of like, well, this is something I kind of want to study. So I started studying that, and that's what kind of led me to Cuba. I was there, going to school with her at University of Havana, and learning about the Cuban Revolution. But like I had just like officially ended my band right before I left, and I was kind of like, okay, now I'm like really gonna not do music anymore. And I get down there though, and like immediately, I thought I was just gonna be like doing a bunch of research and like being very academic. And then I get there and I immediately start hanging out with this crew of guys who just play music and like to sit around and smoke cigs and drink and stuff. And like turns out like I'm a lot better at that than research. And so I just like I fell in with them immediately, and I started showing them some songs. Like when I went down there, I had already had a demo for Friends Lovers, for Dream Girl, and for Cigs, Whiskey and Wine. And so I had like those 3 songs already, and I had all the stuff from my old band and stuff. But like I was showing them, I was like, yeah, I have these songs, and they were like, what? They really loved them, and they made me start a band with them pretty much. And we we played shows in Havana, and then we started recording. Like this one guy, Camilo, who now lives in Mexico City. I actually just had a reunion with him for the first time in 5 years. But like he was kind of the driving force, and he was like really encouraging me to write more while I was down there, and helping me play shows. And then like when I was like, I kind of wanted to like disappear into Latin America and just like help out with people's movements and like do research, but like not in like I didn't really want to be in the U.S. anymore.
Yeah.
And but they were like, dude, come on, we all wish we had your passport so we could go like start a band. Like, they just didn't care about the money or anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're Cuban, they were just like, they care about the feeling that comes from it and everything. They didn't need a lot. And like, it just completely changed the way I viewed everything. It made me like kind of step back and think about what music really was for me, and like, and also what opportunities exist for me, and like and maybe I should have some more confidence in myself and just try again. Like I'd given up because I thought I had failed, and I kind of, they encouraged me to try again. And so, that's kind of like how I got there, and what kind of happened to me there. I also was really influenced by a lot of the music there. There was not so much that like the sonics of it or like the vibes of it, but the lyrics in like Cuban. There's a tradition called trova, which is like derivative, I think, of the word troubadour, but it's like these kind of like singer songwriter types that like have these. Their lyrics are just they kind of go all over the place, and they're like really personal, but also political, and they can be like kind of like lighthearted and racy, like and like sexy, but also like really funny, and I don't know, they're just, and I was kind of like having these songs translated for me a lot too, because my Spanish is not very good, but like I don't know, I got pumped there. I was only living there like the first time was like 3 to 4 months, and then like I went back to finish an album, and I had like a love interest and stuff down there that kind of, I don't know, if you've heard the song Havana Vieja on our second record, then
yeah,
you'll know what that's all about. But yeah.
Now, would you say any of those songs you like wrote and worked with those guys down in Havana, did any of those like have the beginnings of Susto songs? I'll probably mess that up if I have to say that 2 more times.
Yeah,
Susto songs that we
did.
now know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with the first record, like I didn't finish the first album until my whole Cuba experience was kind of like wrapped up. So like, even though I went down there with a few songs, like while I was there the first time, I wrote La Mia with my friend Camilo, and it was about this girl that I had met that I ended up getting engaged with really quickly, and then we had like a wedding, and like that was where Havana Vieja is about that on the second record. But I also wrote Vampiro 66, which is on the first record. I wrote that the second time I was down there, which was all in the same, like the first half of 2014 or 2013 is like when all that happened. It was like a whirlwind, like 6 months of my life. Like I moved to Cuba, lived there, got engaged, came back, sold a bunch of shit, went back, got married, came home, got divorced, and then like started a band. It was weird, but Vampiro is kind of like about like what our lifestyle was like though, because we were like I said, I went down there thinking I was going to be in libraries and stuff all day and in classes, and I was still taking my classes and stuff, but like I was like really kind of living like a vampire. We were up all night, and we were like playing dominoes and smoking cigarettes and drinking rum and stuff, and we'd sleep all day because it was hot anyway, and then we'd go out and play, and stay up all night. And it was like we made I have a solo record on Bandcamp under my name, Justin Osborne, and it's called Vampiros en La Havana, which just means vampires in Havana. And that's the song is not on that album, but it's kind of about the making of that album and like how we were living, just like
very cool.
Well, that's super cool.
It's a good album, and I'm interested to know, just in reading prior to this, I saw that about the same time that you decided that you were going to commit to music, you got some rad knuckle tattoos, and
yeah,
I was just wondering how quickly that followed after your decision to hop back in full force.
Oh man! Thanks for calling them rad.
I mean, they are no problem.
They're super cool.
I fucking love them. I'm so glad I did it. But like, well, I mean, I came back from Cuba in like 2013, and then kind of finished making the album, and then like, but I was still kind of in school, and so I was supposed to graduate school in like the spring of 2014. And I in that time after Cuba, I had finished making the album, and I released it on April Fool's Day. And so it came out, and between then and like when my final exams were, like I had taken 2 of my exams and passed, and I had like one last exam that was like, it was like the last thing that kind of tied my major and my minor together. It was like a crossover thing, and it was my capstone for my anthropology, and like it required a really long paper and, you know, an in-depth exam at the end. And I was like, the record had come out, and I had been really busy because I was booking this tour. I was like, well, if I'm going to really do this, like, I need to, like, I was trying to finish school, you know, I was close to there. And I literally had one class, but I was also like, really had this mandate and this idea that I knew what I wanted to do. And so like, the week, and I had this tour coming up. I'd also just been reached out to by one of my favorite bands, a Band of Horses, like somehow heard the record.
Fuck.
And like, and the singer Ben got my email and like hit me up and was like, hey, we want you to go out and do these shows with us and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is like happening, you know, like all of a sudden, like in like 2 months, we become like one of the most popular bands in our hometown. And I was just like, shit, like I don't have time to take this exam, or much less write this fucking paper that I haven't even started on. And like, and so like the night before the exam, I emailed my professor, and get this is the same guy I learned what Susto was in his class. Like this guy, like he was a musician for a long time and then became a professor like after he was tired of touring and stuff. So he got it, you know, like I got the name of my band from his class, like, and but I told him, I was like, dude, I can't finish your exam. I can't give you the paper. Like, and I was like, I just want you to know this is the last thing I have to do. And like, I was kind of hoping he might be like, oh, I'll just pass you, but he definitely didn't. And, but I was like, I made that decision, and I had just started dating my wife. Like we had started dating like a couple months before. And so she's like, she meets me, and I'm like an anthropology student and stuff, but I kind of have this band happening. Then all of a sudden my life just takes a turn, and I'm just like, and she's all about it. She's like, fuck yeah. I was like, I think I'm not going to graduate. She was like, don't.
Hell yeah,
like,
dude.
I was like, I think I'm gonna get Acid Boys tattooed on my knuckles. Do it.
Oh my god, she sounds incredible.
Sounds like she was the one right
like,
off the bat.
I know, dude. And she was going with me on this long trip. We had booked ourselves like this 10-week tour across America, where I just played to kind of like pay for us to do a road trip. It was also this romantic thing. And honestly, if we hadn't wanted to take a road trip together, like I probably wouldn't have even started touring. But like, I don't know. It was, and I mean, my wife's a school teacher, right? She's a badass, and she's got her shit together. But she's also just like, I don't know. She's been the most supportive person in the fucking world. She's awesome. But
fuck yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I was like, you know, I had kind of like jumped back in and out of music before, so I kind of was like, you know, I'm 27 at this point. Like, I need to do something. If I'm going to commit to music, I want to do it. So like, I got the knuckle tattoos to kind of keep me out of boring shit, you know. And so yeah, and I just knew I was like, I'd been in this other band before, and I always felt like kind of like a lame kid walking into some of these like really cool rock clubs and dive bars where like all the people are like this punk as fuck, you know, and everything. I was like, if I'm gonna get out there and scrape my way up in these clubs, like I need knuckle tattoos that say Acid
Fuck
Boys.
yeah, dude.
As a saying goes, you got to dress for the job you want, so you went and did it.
You're fucking right, you do.
No regrets.
Some of my friends, like one of my good friends who actually just called me a second ago, and I he didn't know I was doing this, so I had to just put in his voicemail. But I remember him calling me and being like, dude, because he saw me on Instagram, he's like, I mean, I didn't even have that many tattoos, you know, I had like 4 tattoos, like, and I went straight for it, and he was just like, are you okay?
Fuck yeah, dude.
I was like, dude, it's fine. It's fine. Like, people thought I'd just taken way too much acid or something.
Yeah.
But it was a sober decision. Like, I did it. My friend was in town, and he was like, I can do your knuckles for $20. I was like, fuck yeah. And so we were on our way.
There you go.
Nah, dude,
and I got my knuckles tattooed and went straight and saw Deer Tick, and it was fucking sick.
That's
Oh,
so
fuck yeah.
sick,
I've seen
dude.
Deer Tick.
Yeah.
Shit.
That's fucking awesome. I wanted to mention this. while I was going through all your discography, you give me like the vibe that you're a mix between Johnny Cash and Jim Morrison. Like that's the kind of vibe that I get from
Wow.
you. Yeah.
What a compliment.
Yeah, when I listen to your music or, you know, see the stuff that you put out to promote it, I'm like, holy shit, like this guy's Cash meets Morrison and I love every single bit of it. Like good for him. Are either
I really
of them
appreciate that. That's a really big compliment.
Dude, of course. Which leads me into my question, like who are some of your like biggest musical influences, whether it's past, present, both?
It kind of is, you know, all over the place. I kind of like block off like 90s alt rock as a big influence, not just one band, but like the kind of
The genre.
collection of, the genre of like alt rock from the 90s is really big for me. But then I also like, you know, I listened to shitload of emo music when I was like in high school.
Oh yeah.
Brand New and
Hell
Jam
yeah.
Mac Sunday and stuff like that.
Fuck yeah.
And then but then I started discovering kind of like old or like alt country, I guess, like people like Townes Van Zandt and Wilco and stuff. And
Yes.
then I also, my dad was always playing like Jim Croce for me, and so I really love Jim Croce
Fuck yeah.
and like CCR and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I also like, I love electronic music, and I love like, I don't know, I just like, so I always have, and I love like world music, all different types of like vibes. So I'm a really big reggae fan. I love kind of a lot of different shit. And so I've always liked artists who kind of mix things together in cool ways too. Or just had kind of like a classic, like worldly type vibe. Like I really love Cat Power. She's like my favorite. And I think one of the things I like about her album, The Greatest, is like it kind of has this like classic songwriting vibe, which is like, it just feels like you could hear it playing in a bar, like in a hotel, anywhere in the world. Like,
Yeah.
and I really like that because I've always been like a traveler and always wanted to just be myself, but also I just like to blend in and you know, try and observe and stuff. And so I just like things that feel like I'm sitting in a hotel bar somewhere in some faraway place. So I don't know. It's vast, but I think I don't know. Like besides Cat Power, and I think I'm just like really inspired by her as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's, you know, mentioning like recently I've been listening to a lot of Phosphorescent. I don't know if you guys listen to it. You guys gotta love that New Birth in New England song. Have you heard that?
I've seen
What?
that. I've seen them in concert.
Hangs up.
Don't come at me.
At a bar in New England.
I'm
Thinking
familiar.
about another beer.
I'm familiar.
Have y'all ever heard that?
I have not.
I'm not familiar with their music,
Oh my
but I've
God.
seen them in concert. They played at the
Okay.
Boston Calling Music Festival in one of the early years.
Okay, yeah, he's been doing it. He's been doing it for a long time. It's like his new record, C'est La Vie. There's a song called New Birth in New England. You guys got to hear it. You're gonna fucking love it.
I'm
It's like,
I'm writing it down as we speak.
All three of them are
and you
writing
guys
it
are
down.
New Englanders, and I really love that whole album. It's so good, and I don't know. I always love finding new records that I just live inside of. You know, like
Oh my gosh.
War on
Absolutely.
Drugs. His last album was like that for me. There's a His Golden Messenger album. Like I was saying, Cat Power is the greatest. I remember when I first heard Sturgill Simpson's Meta Modern Sounds. Like I'm not even a big country fan, but like I love that album.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really like good albums, and I also like hit songs from the 90s. So,
Fair enough.
All right. So, in summation, Justin just really loves good music.
Yeah, I mean, so
yeah, I guess so. I just like good stuff, you know?
absolutely. So with that, then, are there any other like bands or anything that you've been listening to lately that's just been like out there where you want to like give a shout out to while you're here, you know, being recorded?
Absolutely. So they're and these are bands that are going to be on the road with us too. I mean, we're coming to Boston, you know, in sometime in April, right? Like April 17th or something like that.
I will be there.
April 17th.
Yeah. I'm excited. I was just there
We're gonna
to
have
see.
two bands with us. We're gonna have two bands with us there that are both like two of my favorite new bands. Like, and so I'm so pumped that we got them to go on tour with us. One band, Frances Cohn, she's gonna be playing first of three in in Boston, but they're going to be opening for us our whole North American tour, and they have this song called Wide Awake, and I just love it. I think the album is called Wide Awake too, but the whole album's really good. It just came out in January. And then there's a band from Virginia called Illiterate Light, and it's just a two-piece. They just kick so much ass. They just been on the road with Raylan Baxter, and they're doing really cool stuff. And they're gonna be playing the Boston show with us too, and they kick ass. They have a song called Nothing's Fair. It's really good. And then actually, my friends, one of the reasons I have to be off by 8 tonight is my friends Liz Cooper and Stampede. Have you guys heard them before?
Yes. Are you kidding me? I have a bunch of their music saved in my Spotify library.
Yeah. Liz and them are staying in my house tonight, so like I gotta get like.
Oh my god.
They're playing in Charleston tomorrow, and my wife is in Quebec right now for like a week. So I was like, babe, like, is it cool if I host the band at the house? And she's like, yeah, of course. She loves Liz and them too.
Sleepovers.
But yeah, so I'm gonna go stay in my buddy's like the guest room down the street. I'm just gonna give them the house and chill. Yeah, I love them. That was another band I was gonna say. And then
that's sick.
There's a lot of really cool bands in Charleston right now too that I love. Like there's a band called Babe Club that kind of spawned out of our band. Like they're Corey and Jenna, or there's a couple that were in our band that played for a while, and they've split off to do their own thing, and they're called Babe Club.
Dope.
And they kick ass. They don't have an album out yet, but they will soon. And there's a band called She Returns from War from Charleston that is really kick ass. And they're about to go out and open for Band of Horses for like 6 dates out west, I think, later this month.
That's sick.
And there's a band called the Artisanals, which is this guy Johnny Delaware used to be in Susto. We wrote a lot of the early songs like together, and we used to live together. And the Artisanals they're on tour in Europe right now.
I love the Artisanals.
Yeah, they fucking kick ass. They have this song called First Time. I love that song. Johnny is one of my really close friends. Like we kind of both ended up in Charleston wanting to make records, and like I don't know. We have a little scene of dreamers here that are fucking getting out and doing shit, you know, and it's really cool.
That's fucking
and there's
amazing.
new bands coming all the time. Like there's this band here called Baby Yaga that I fucking love. They only have one song on Spotify, but I'm playing a show tomorrow night too, like a solo show in town, and they're gonna open for me. And there's just cool shit happening here. So it's really fun to be, I don't know, a part of a little scene that's like, we don't have like a lot of labels or anything like that here. It's like just bands.
That's sick.
Which is kind of nice. Like I love places like Nashville and New York and LA where that's where your team lives and works. But it's like cool to live in a music town that's like really got quality stuff, but it's like just a music town, not like a music business town.
Yeah, Justin, have you ever been to Charlottesville, Virginia?
I have. I love Charlottesville, Virginia. I was really like sad about all the shit that's gone down there.
Yeah,
it's crazy in recent history because it's like I haven't been there since, but like we've been touring through there a few times the last few years, and like people are so nice and cool and I don't know, it's a really vibey place. I love Charlottesville. There's a band called my friend Kai has a band. I don't know. I just hit the bowl, so I'm Lord Nelson is the name of the band.
Love it.
Fuck, dude.
Love it.
Well, now I gotta now I gotta.
Yeah, so I just had
careful of the smoke detector.
Yeah, I just had a chance to go down there back in December, Justin, and I went to see Dave Matthews Band play their home shows in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they're from. I forgot that.
Yeah, so I travel around. I go around the country and see the band, and I was going there expecting for this I don't know, because of everything that happened there, I expected there to be some hostility and stuff, and just walking around downtown, everyone is so nice. It is just like
a beautiful place.
It's just kind of like the people have huddled around the music to bring them out of this really dark moment in the town's history, and it's just really cool to there's all sorts of really cool musicians that play there. The bar that Dave got his start at is a bar called Miller's, and there's still a really strong music scene there. It's just a really cool town. So you were talking about, a town that is not known for, its music like Nashville or New York City, but I think Charlottesville is definitely known for its little scene as well. So
Yeah, totally. Charlottesville, it certainly is. It's like, and there's other places like Athens and, Austin's a more well-known place. Denver is a really big music town.
Yeah.
Seattle. I mean, it's the great thing about the U.S. is like there are music scenes. Like it's just part of our culture to start bands and do stuff and like that. Like, and it's part of other cultures too. Like, and other like, but it's just like it's like an American thing. It's just like start a band and hit the road and like I don't know, people do it, and there's some people that are really good at it too.
That's rock and roll. I fucking love that. Let's see, what else do we got here for you? Oh, so I know you said you opened for Band of Horses, but what was it like to open for the Lumineers and the Head and the Heart too, who are also putting out a new project?
Very
soon. Yeah.
I'm a huge Head and the Heart
yeah,
fan.
big
so
Head and the Heart fan.
Yeah, me too.
Excited to see that you open for them.
Yeah, so John, who sings in Head and Heart, like, I just love that guy. I mean, I didn't know him until we played with him, but like the whole band is so sweet. Same with the Lumineers. I mean, like two bands that like not only deserve all the success they've had because their music's so good, but like also just like incredible people with great teams of people too. Like their crew and everything. It's like I don't know. We've been fortunate to, and same with Band of Horses too. Like we've been fortunate to tour with some really great bands that like I don't know have inspired us to like be better. We've learned from them, they inspired us to be better, like musicians, showmanship, like, and also just like how to like build a team and like do something, because rock and roll is rock and roll and it's fun and all this stuff, but it's also people are working on it. It's like, it's people's livelihoods, like I have a family, like, and everybody who works with us may not have a family, but they want to, or maybe if they don't want to, they still want to make a decent living. And like, so it's a profession, and it's like, it's fun to be out on the road with bands like for Lumineers, for example, that's the biggest tour we've ever been on. That was an arena tour, and there were like 11 semi trucks and like 15 tour buses and like, and we were in a van and trailer, and we were like, we went all across Canada and stuff. We played in like hockey arenas and they were sold out, and it was like just fucking wild. And, I don't know. It was really good for us because it upped the cred of our band. Like, and we were just a little band, and then all of a sudden we did this North American arena tour with Lumineers, and it was like, oh shit, like Susto is a real band.
Yeah, dude.
And I don't know. It was like we learned a lot, and we also just got to be elevated. And the same when we played the Head and the Heart, and just getting to know other people and like people who you like are a fan of too. Like I've been a fan of both of those bands and Band of Horses before I ever met them or got to play with them, and like getting to experience that and go on the road with bands you just love and like you want to hear every night, you're stoked to hear every night, and like to get to meet, and it's surreal, to be honest with you. I just kind of like take it in stride and just try to act cool about it, but it's kind of crazy.
I would not know what to do with myself if I were in your position with just having Band of Horses reach out of nowhere with an email and skyrocket your career like that. It's just like insanity. But
yeah,
I mean,
like
they found out about you for a reason, and I think your music speaks for itself. So.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt.
Thank you.
I mean, you
guys
saying,
are flattering.
oh my gosh, stop. You saying that like it's such a big deal for you to like bond with your favorite artist is kind of what I'm going through right now. It's
well, thank
really
you.
cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool that you guys like listen and you care and like and like I don't know, like I mean I'm a human being, so of course I like to sit around and talk about shit that I'm doing, like, so thanks for being willing to do that with me, and like you guys have read up and listened, and it's just I don't know, it's amazing. Thank you for letting me just kind of like, my job is to just kind of like live my life and play music and travel. It's like I have to pinch myself.
Yeah, no, it's really awesome for us. I watch a lot of music documentaries too, and like I always wish that I could just sit in the studio with all my favorite bands and just like watch them work, because it's what goes in behind it and the emotion of it and the experience and the journey that is so cool to me. Because as me writing poetry and I was an English major in college, and like that was pretty much my whole life, was just making art out of what I experienced. So it's cool for me to share that with you. And
None of us have, at least, none of us have been in a band. I mean,
Yeah.
I do like the introduction and stuff for the show.
yeah, Andrew
And-
plays music sometimes.
I'm okay.
Cool.
But yeah, this is kind of just
it's fun even when you're just doing it for fun. You know, I just went home like to my hometown, which is like 2 hours away, like
Mhm.
like for the night yesterday, and I just like jammed with my brothers for an hour or so.
I love it.
And it wasn't a rehearsal, it wasn't a show, it was just, it wasn't a songwriting session. It was like there was nothing involved in the music business or anything like in the industry. You know, it was just like me and my brothers jamming and just like playing the same 2 chords for like 45 minutes, and it was
the best.
I don't know,
The
music's
best
really
stuff.
fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can't really beat like the magic of like a great jam sesh with like
Fuck
your
yeah.
buds or like your brothers. Like my brother plays music too, so it's always fun when he comes home from school with his piano and stuff, and then we just like hang out in his room and like play music for like 2 hours.
I know, it's awesome. It's so cool. It's fun. I like it really helps. That's kind of what happened to me in Cuba. It was like all the pressure and stuff was gone. It was just like, you know, I wasn't supposed to even be there. So it was just like,
Right.
I don't know. That's I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm stoned a little bit too. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to deviate.
No, it's
No.
okay, man.
I've been I got a new dab pen as my Valentine's Day gift, so I've kind of been
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So you had a great Valentine.
yeah, he's pretty cool. I've actually been getting him into your music too. He's like, "Oh my god, like these guys are fucking awesome." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm well aware. Like I've been listening to them."
Sweet. Thanks for sharing it. You guys are missionaries.
Oh, I share it
what we do.
everywhere. Like my Snapchat stories, Instagram stories, Facebook, Twitter. I tweet at you guys all the time. For my personal
I know
Twitter
that's why
too.
I've seen the podcast before. I've seen it
Yeah.
on Twitter. I was like,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm always trying to plug you guys. You guys, Del Water Gap, I'm also a big fan of, and then Mount Joy, also a huge
Oh,
fan
cool.
of them too. So I plug you guys everywhere. So I'm just gonna rattle off some of our what the fuck even are these questions, and see. It's kind of
Okay.
like Family Feud. So, what's your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur?
Yeah, dude.
I think a pterodactyl.
Fuck
Ooh,
yeah.
hell yeah. Good answer.
Pterodactyls are
Yeah,
sick.
I actually read a book. I read a book about dinosaurs this summer, so I was like in it for a while. Yeah, I think pterodactyl is probably my favorite.
Yeah, it was sick. What's your favorite childhood cereal and favorite cartoon to watch it to?
I think probably the cartoon is definitely Arthur on PBS.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck
And,
yeah. Oh my god.
And then, but cereal, I liked a lot of. Oh, I'm gonna say Cinnamon Toast Crunch because I
Hell yeah.
definitely
Oh,
cannot eat that
you
as
are
an
my
adult.
guy.
But like,
Classic.
We need to hang out
My
in real
God.
life. We just need to we need to get really stoned, sit on a
Yes.
couch, watch Arthur,
And
and
eat
eat a
Cinnamon
fuck
Toast
ton of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We'll get like one of those big ones you get at Sam's Club with the
Oh my
the
God,
fucking
dude,
giant one. Just go
crush it.
through the whole thing. We're doing that. That's a whole thing.
Oh my
Can't
god.
wait.
that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
You just described like my perfect like hour
That's-
or two or afternoon or
That's
day.
amazing. Okay. Buffalo or barbecue chicken?
Choose wisely.
Barbecue chicken.
Fuck.
Nice.
I'm
I pegged.
I'm from the South. So
we
like,
had
I
something
love
going
barbecue.
here, man, and we just, I pegged you as is not a barbecue guy.
I mean, he is from the South, man.
You are,
Like,
yeah.
That
That's
makes a
where
lot
like,
of
the,
sense.
where barbecue is.
yeah.
I love buffalo chicken too, for what it's worth. Like I
Yes.
love buffalo sauce in general. So,
Mhm, that's good stuff. Your favorite chain restaurant?
well, I hate to say it because like I really shouldn't eat there,
Say it.
but I like Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck, yeah.
We get Chick-fil-A before we record all the time.
I literally am obsessed with Chick-fil-A food. I know
Yes.
it's really bad, but I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Well, the
terrible.
company's terrible.
So
Yes.
good.
Shitty
I know,
humans,
I-
great food.
Like, I love the food, but like I feel so bad about spending money there. I'm like, man, I know this is
Yeah.
going to do some bad stuff, but god damn it, that fried chicken and lemonade just gets me every time.
Dude, I had it for lunch today. Fucking so
Yeah,
good,
see,
dude.
there, it's so good. I mean, like it's just like listen. I don't eat a ton of fast food, but like I also like tourists. I do eat it occasionally, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I like Taco Bell every once in a while. I like a good McDonald's. Like I love In-N-Out, you know. But
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A is just like I don't know. I can eat it consistently. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
Don't
Oh,
shit.
you're
And it's
preaching to
also
the
really good
fucking
and it's
choir,
quick.
my friend.
Like
Preaching to the
like
choir.
our
Yeah.
first episode, I think we are literally like joking about how like we need to get Chick-fil-A to sponsor us because like
We
we were in our old studio with a big window, and on the
We
window
used to joke about that in the van. We joke about that in the van all the time because we're like, it's like, God, we ate Chick-fil-A 4 times this week. It's like fucking A.
we gotta we'll make like a group effort to get them to like joint sponsor the podcast and your band at the same time.
Join podcast in the sky and Susto.
Please sponsor us
Man,
and
if
give
we
us
got
free
sponsored by
chicken.
Chick-fil-A, that'd be like the biggest like
I'm gonna tag
street
him now.
cred for them.
We're tagging Chick-fil-A
We're
in this
tagging
episode.
Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not Chick-fil-A in this episode. It's like,
It's
but
happening.
it's like it sucks. I hate to even admit it because I know, like, I don't know. There are people I know who like, yeah, they're like, yeah, Chick-fil-A's awesome, but I don't eat it because of this and that. And I'm like, God, you're so right. It's like veganism too. It's like, I know you're right. Like, I agree with you. I think like,
But you're not strong enough to do it though, because of that damn fried
Exactly.
chicken.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God.
I
once
know,
once
I
you have
hate
it
it, but
once,
the
you
doctor-
can't kick it.
It's true.
I know. I think I don't know. I just I don't know. Yeah, I'm ashamed of myself, but
Yeah,
True,
it's okay.
yeah.
And we
Yeah.
accept our sins for what they are. Nobody's perfect. Okay. Favorite thing to order at a bar?
Budweiser.
Fuck yeah.
Tried and true.
Best breakfast order to cure a hangover.
Budweiser.
Well, I just have a favorite breakfast, and it's the like build your own slam at Denny's. It's like
Yeah.
it's like hash browns, fruit, eggs, and like turkey sausage,
Nice.
Mm.
and it's like light, but like filling. It's weird. I spend too much time on the road, but
That's
yeah,
okay.
I'd say that.
All right, awesome. So since we're both pretty big stoners here, do you have a favorite strain?
Yeah, I kind of like Gorilla Glue, but
Yeah.
it makes me a little too. It makes me a little too like slow sometimes. So I mean, I like to mix it with like iced tea or
Nice.
like a microdose.
Why not?
And I also like Blue Dream.
Oh, Blue Dream's good.
But I'm
That's really nice.
thinking we might actually be able to get our own strain. Label president told me that we could get our own strain for this record. We have a
There's
song.
Shit.
There's actually one of my very favorite bands just recently came out with their own strain. It's Vacationer.
Who?
They're from
Oh, cool.
Philadelphia, and they just announced there's no physical way to get it out here.
Must be a road trip
But it's a
down
real
to
nice
Philly.
idea.
Fuck
yeah.
it. Why not?
But it exists.
It
It does.
exists, yeah, which is just exciting all by its own.
That's so sick. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
that what do they call, what's the name of theirs? Do you know?
I think it's called Euphoria or Mine.
Yeah, I think it's Euphoria because that was the name of their most recent album.
That's sick.
Got you. We have a song on our new album called Blue Green Buddha,
Mm.
and it's about the statue that sits in front of my house. But like I think that's what if we had a strain, that's what I'd want it to be called.
That's
Blue
sick.
Green Buddha.
When I saw like the list of songs like on Apple Music, I have Spotify and my boyfriend has Apple Music, and when I was looking at it from his phone, I saw that song title, and that was actually one that really caught my eye. So I'm really excited to listen to it. Actually, so I'm hyped.
It's one of my favorite songs. It's one of my favorites. It's about my house
That's awesome.
and the love that's inside of it. So
Very
Oh,
cool.
that's-
Very cool.
I'm already like, I love it. I'm already in love with it. Well, that's awesome. Do you guys have anything else you want to ask him?
No, I just want to say thank you so much, Justin. You are one of the fucking coolest dudes
Yeah,
we've ever gotten
dude.
a chance to talk to. So
man,
thank
you
you.
guys are a cool crew, and you have a great podcast. I really appreciate you letting me talk to y'all and for listening to music and for helping me spread the word. I just appreciate it so much. Y'all are great, and I can't wait to meet whenever we come up to Great Scott in Boston.
Oh my gosh, I'm also very excited. Now that I know that you like Gorilla Glue, I'll make sure to get one from the dispensary, one of their pre-rolled joints. We can enjoy it together after the show.
Wait, are you guys legal now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
yeah, dude.
Oh
I
man,
would-
that's great.
I've been,
we got if it's Gorilla Glue, I definitely got to smoke it after the show. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
yeah.
so tired on stage if I don't.
Oh,
But
definitely. But I've been saying it to pretty much everybody. I'm like, yo, when Justin comes up in April, like I'm absolutely gonna fucking get a joint, and we are absolutely gonna smoke it together, and it's gonna be an awesome time.
Well, it looks like we got
I
some
look
concert
forward
plans
to
for
it.
April now.
it is gonna be an awesome time.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you so much for talking to us. I cannot tell you how much this means to me and everybody else sitting around this table.
Yeah, it's been awesome just to sit down and get to know you a little bit.
You guys are the best. It's been awesome to talk to you guys. Thanks so much for letting me talk and for asking me great questions. And yeah, let me know when it's gonna come out too. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
definitely. I'll let you know. I'm going to Maine. I'm going on a vacation because I'm a manager in retail, and this is my
Cool.
side project that I basically started from the bottom up so I could do shit like this. So I'm taking a vacation from that, and I'm going up to stay in Maine for a little bit and work on the show and some poetry. So
Sounds awesome. Well, enjoy Maine. I love Maine so much.
yeah, definitely, dude.
Um,
And I'll let you know when it's coming out, and I'll send you a link and everything so that you have it.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys. Y'all have a great night, and hopefully see y'all soon. Okay.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Justin.
Thank you.
See you later.
All right. Cheers. Bye.